everybody, welcome to Cooking Together. I'm Chef Nicole, and today we are going to be making hummus veggie wraps. We're going to be showing you how to make the hummus from scratch as well as some pickled red onions. So here we've got our red onion. I'm going to show you guys the trick to being able to slice your red onion without it all completely falling apart. We've got some lettuce that I've already kind of prepped ahead of time. Same thing for our grape tomatoes. We have cut them in half. And here we have our red pepper, our carrot. We've already peeled the carrot. I'm just going to quickly trim our ends off. And then I'm going to show you a really fun way to be able to make thin strips. It's going to make it way easier to eat and more enjoyable. So let's get started. Let's preheat the oven to 375 degrees so it's ready for roasting our vegetables. So we're just trimming off our two little ends here. And then we're going to just take our peeler and we are just going to peel our carrot and just make some really nice ribbons. So when you make them all the same size and same thickness, it makes cooking a breeze. So I'm just going to leave that there. I think I have enough here. And we're going to just toss this on to our baking sheet, parchment paper, lifesaver in the kitchen for making a speedy cleanup. I'm just going to spread this out. Next up is our red pepper. I like to always show people who maybe aren't as familiar in the kitchen or who might be using a big knife. There's a couple of tips that we can quickly show you. First of all, this is called a chef knife or a rocker knife. The sharpest part of this knife is kind of from the tip to about here in the belly of the knife. The easiest way to hold it to make sure that you are able to use your rocking motion is to hold it by the bolster here and then wrap your fingers around. For knife safety, we always want to use what's called the claw. We're going to curl our fingers in and turn our thumb to the back. Okay, so we're going to do that here. For our pepper, we're going to cut off the bottom and we're going to turn it around, cut off our top. We're going to cut down the side of our pepper and then we're going to open it up like a little accordion. Okay, by doing that, we're taking all of that white skin from the inside. At the end, make sure you stand it back up so you don't have any knife slippage and cut straight down towards your cutting board. There you have it, all your seeds, all your everything in one space. And then we can just take our pepper and cut it into strips. And there you have it. We've got our vegetables ready to go in the oven. So we're going to season with a little bit of oil, salt and pepper, and roast them for about 5 to 6 minutes in a 375 degree oven, and they'll be ready to go. Just a little pinch of each. A little bit of olive oil. And now we're going to move on to our pickled red onions. Our ingredients here, we've got a cup of red wine vinegar, a couple tablespoons of sugar. We've got some salt. We're only using about a teaspoon and a half of salt, so I'm just going to pinch that in there. And we are going to let that come to a boil. It's as simple as that. I'm going to show you how to chop the red onion, but really that's all that's going into our pickling liquid. You want to always leave the root end on. That is the most important thing about making sure that your onion stays together as you slice it. So we're going to cut the stem end off. And we're going to cut straight through the root. Okay, by doing that, it holds together and then you can peel off the outer layer. There's no fancy way to do it. You just got to pull the skin off. Usually you do have to go one extra layer with our red onion, okay, to get all of it off cleanly. And now we're just going to do nice thin slices. I'm just going to cut it this way, and you do want to make sure that they're nice and thin. And there you have it. See, we're able to keep all of our pieces intact. So I think I'm going to just stop there. But you can continue slicing all of this, but what we have here is a heat-safe jar. So at home, you're going to want to make sure that you're using something that can handle the heat. So either a glass mason jar or a glass bowl, something that is heat-proof, because we are going to be adding the liquid hot. Then you're going to let it sit on your counter until it comes down to about room temperature before putting a lid on it and tucking it in the fridge. So you can take all your onions right into your jar. And this is probably about a good time to have a little peek at my veggies that are in the oven. We want them just soft. We're not cooking them through. We just want them a little bit tender, or fork tender is a great way to measure that. So I'm just gonna set that off to the side for a quick minute, let that come down in temperature just a hair, and we are gonna move on and check our vegetables. So I'm pretty happy with where these are at. Like I said, they take no time at all because of the fact that we have sliced them pretty thinly. So you can see there that they are cooked. And now we are gonna start on our hummus. To make the hummus, we need some no salt added chickpeas, drained and rinsed. You wanna really rinse it until there's no more like starch or bubbles. That's what you're rinsing off of it when you notice that in your colander. So a colander or a strainer is perfectly fine for rinsing these. We're gonna add them into our food processor here. We've got 2 cloves of garlic. I've already peeled these, so they're ready to go in. We have our tahini paste. Our tahini is ground sesame paste. There we go. Next, add the juice of 1 lemon. So a set of tongs and your half-cut lemon, and you're just gonna give it a good squeeze. But I'm just gonna take my spoon that I was using for the tahini, take out the seeds. In goes the lemon juice. We're gonna add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. And in goes our water. Now you're gonna notice I'm gonna put this water in, but if we need to add and adjust a little bit more, that's okay, depending on the consistency. And this is where sometimes with recipes, it's just gonna depend on the texture that we're looking for. If we need to adjust it slightly, you can definitely do that with a little bit of water or a little extra olive oil. About a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm just gonna blitz this until basically it's smooth. If I'm not happy with getting the texture, we'll add a little extra water to it. And there you have it. My red wine vinegar has had a little bit of time to cool, so I'm not gonna have to be nervous about pouring it directly into my jar. Feel free to do it in a sink, use a funnel, whatever feels best to you. I'm gonna do my best to not spill it. Just gotta go for it. There we go. All right, we're just gonna press down our onions into the jar. We want them all submerged. You can let this cool to room temperature and then pop it into the fridge. Put the lid on it, and it'll be good to go for the next 5 days. So next up is gonna be assembling our wraps. So we are using whole wheat wraps today. We've got our hummus. Okay, so this is gonna be our spread on the base. Well, you can add as much or as little as you want. Okay. We've got our vegetables here. We're gonna bring back our lettuce and our tomatoes, and then we're just gonna make ourselves a nice little sandwich, and then we're gonna get to give this a taste. You can add extra vegetables if you want. These are some of my favorites. Grape tomatoes that have been cut, some lettuce, and I went ahead and put the lid on my pickled red onions a little too soon. So I'm gonna have to open my jar. Like I said, the longer they sit, the better, but we can use these right now. You can see that they're already starting to change color a little bit. They're getting that nice pink color, and that's what you're looking for. They're gonna get brighter the longer that they stay in there. Okay, let's fold this up. So when we're folding, the key is you really wanna kind of start with your edges. Okay, so you're gonna fold your 2 sides in, you're gonna take your wrap and you're gonna fold it all the way over the top, and you're gonna give it a little squeeze, and you're gonna roll, roll, just like that. So here you have it, our homemade hummus veggie wrap with pickled red onions, and I'm serving this up with a nice side salad, reusing some of the ingredients that we have inside the wrap. This is a simple, easy midweek meal and perfect for sharing with friends.